So it's like everybody around me really loved the industry. And so I've been told that when I was a kid or a baby, I would only crawl if they put a TV guide in front of me. So I feel like that's like an omen, right? As I was getting older and looking for my educational future,
Mhm,
I started to realize that that's where I have the strengths.
mhm.
In talking the language of an actor and the appreciation for the actor. I'm going to tell you something that I find is interesting, and that is that I find that the trajectory of an actor is very similar to that of a casting director. As I'm watching auditions, or I'm keeping track of what an actor brings and what they don't bring.
Mhm.
And what I find I want to see is I want to see the actor make it more than what is on the page.
Right.
I don't need to hear the lines being said.
Yes.
I want to see the lines being infused with a life. I want them to be your life. I want that you to
Mhm,
create a life
mhm,
and create an individual or a character that
mhm,
has a life
mhm.
and has a moment before the scene and a moment after. I know the moment after and before sounds a little cliche, but
Yep.
it's implying that that character has life.
What's up, guys? Welcome back with another episode of Breakthrough. It's been a while since we have shot an episode, but I have a very special guest for you guys today. It's someone I've been looking forward to interviewing for a very long time. We are so grateful, so blessed to actually have her with us today live. But again, without further ado, guys, we just want to remind you to subscribe. Make sure to check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. You guys know the drill. Make sure to follow us and support us. But let's just dive into this. We have Andrea Kenyon, a Montreal-based casting director, with us today in the house. We are so grateful and so honored to have you. How's it going,
God,
Andrea? It's so
I,
good to have you, honestly.
I feel very blessed by that intro, but thank you so much.
I always like value each one of my guests. Like I don't take it lightly,
Very
honestly. Like
sweet.
I appreciate the time and all that. So it's such
I
an honor to
really
have you.
appreciate you understanding. Thank you.
No worries, no worries, no worries. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So yeah, no,
I'm
thank you for
happy to
coming.
be
And
here. I'm happy to be here. I hope we can help some
yes,
people.
and we're happy to have you as well. Okay, so we've got a really packed episode today, and I've got a lot of questions to ask you. But
Cool.
I just want to, maybe like bring us back a little bit to how you even started as a casting director. What
Okay.
led you to being a casting director? I'm not sure if you were an actor before, and then you transitioned into that space, but kind of like bring us along on the journey of you becoming a casting
Yeah.
director in Montreal today.
I hope I'm not boring anybody because I
No.
think I might have told this story before, but I honestly my dad was in the business. My mom was in the business. My dad was an actor and a teacher and a
Mhm.
booking agent at a nightclub, and
Okay.
my mom was a dancer. And so it kind of was, and then my grandparents as well. So it's like everybody around me really loved the industry. And so I've been told that when I was a kid or a baby, I would only crawl if they put a TV guide in front of me. So I feel like that's like an omen, right? So I
Right,
don't
right,
know.
right, right. Yeah.
But let's flash forward a few years.
Yeah,
I did always have an appreciation for TV Guide, by the way, and
right.
the fall preview guides were amazing.
Hmm.
Um, but I was looking for something that I had a passion for,
Hmm.
like when I was trying to look at my career, my possible future career.
Hmm.
And I loved the process of acting. I loved
Yeah.
watching actors. I enjoyed discussing actors with my dad because he would come home from teaching and he would talk to me about them. So I think it all really started there. And
Hmm.
then as I was getting older and looking for my educational future,
Hmm.
I started to realize that that's where I have the strengths.
Hmm.
In talking the language of an actor and the appreciation for the actor, and I have really pretty good organizational skills.
Hmm.
Um, and so it just kind of said, what does this say to you? And I was also looking for some independence as well, independence
Hmm.
from my family, my father.
Right, right.
And I'm like, what can I do? What do I do? And
Yeah.
there's no school, or there wasn't at the time, for
Yeah, I don't think
casting.
like there's a there's a school that you go to become a casting director, right? Like it's just you sort of.
There wasn't, but I'm hearing from other casting directors across North America that they
Mhm.
are starting to put programs like that in
Oh, okay.
universities. Yeah,
Interesting.
at least some of the elements,
Yeah.
and that's something else I'd enjoy doing. But anyway, but uh, I basically started casting extras when I was 18.
Wow.
And because it was a little bit of an offshoot of what my father was doing, and
Hmm.
then because he
Hmm.
had a school.
Hmm.
But then, as I wanted more and more independence, I actually created my own company in 1990. So it was Andrea Kenyon and Associates Casting in 1990.
Right on.
And I brought in my current associate, Randy Wells, in 1993. She happened to be my best friend.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And we've
It's
been
usually how it
working
goes. Yeah.
together. Yeah, it's great because
My business partner is also like a very good friend of mine. So like
yeah,
these are the people that we usually like revert to when we want to start something because we
we
can rely on
trust
them.
we
Yeah.
trust them with our
Yeah.
lives,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and she's an excellent creative human being and has a great value system as well, which matches the way I like to do business. And
Mhm.
so we started in 1993 working together, and honestly, the business has grown and grown and grown and grown. And it really
Yeah.
is about self-education,
Yeah.
learning what the process is in casting and making some mistakes.
Hmm.
Um, I hate, some of the projects I've worked on, I think to myself, oh my God, you
Yeah.
didn't know what you were doing. But
Yeah.
not necessarily creatively, but in terms of all of the tools that we have at our disposal, I kind
Hmm.
of started to learn as I
Hmm.
was going through the job.
Hmm.
But I mean, developing and learning and growing is something I find exciting. So
Yeah. Yeah.
thankfully, I've been doing that for a lot of years.
Yeah. 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 No,
A lot of
absolutely.
growing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I mean it's I mean I can only imagine like how the entire journey and how hard it must have been in the beginning and trying to figure things out. I mean I'm not sure how it was back then, but
Mhm.
obviously now since like we've a little more developed in the industry, there's like more like technologically speaking, we're a little more advanced. Like
Oh my God.
we have tools that we didn't have back in the 90s. I'm not sure
Yeah.
if Actors Access was even a thing back in
Yeah. Yeah.
back
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, yeah. So no, I can only imagine how that challenging.
I was actually around when you actually showed up to your audition maybe 20 minutes in advance and were handed sides
Wow.
live.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then it went to the point of actually the next big change was when actually you could get your sides via fax.
Really? Oh my goodness. Yeah. I
Oh,
did not live
yeah.
those days.
I know, but
You guys used
it
to
shot up
fax
really
size. Oh
fast.
my God.
Yeah, fax sides, or you could fax them to the agent, and you'd pick them up at the agency, and then
Yes, I heard. You know what? I actually heard that. I was not an actor at the time when this was a thing. I started way longer than that, but I got
yeah,
told that like faxing sides
yeah,
was the
yeah.
standard at
It
some
was
point.
crazy. It's insane. So I've gone through all of them, and to the point where
Yeah.
now it's like awesome. It's like I can email, I can send, blah blah blah. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, no, you're one of the most reputable casting agents in the area, and if anything, in Canada,
Thank you.
for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
And like you're very well known, very reputable. So like walk us a little bit through like I guess like how long it took you guys to really, I guess, get in the game, like get in the space. Like I know that you guys like tried a lot of things in the beginning. I'm guessing some things must have not worked. Like like how long it took for you guys to figure out that like okay, now we understand how it's done and we can set up these systems, we can hire people to,
Yeah.
like how
Well,
long did that? Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something that I find is interesting, and that is that I find that the trajectory of an actor is very similar to that of a casting director,
Okay.
in that you are presenting to the potential employers yourself
Hmm.
and your interpretation of their material.
Hmm.
And oftentimes, whether we're hired or not is dependent upon that dynamic that exists between you and the potential employer
Hmm.
and what's on your CV and what the word on the street is about you, or
Right.
what you've been involved with or in the past.
Yeah.
So I find we have a lot in common, like
Mhm.
a whole lot, and
Yep.
which is funny because I think we should explore those similarities and realize how aligned we are in the same objectives.
Yeah.
um, but in terms of like an actual timeline, I can only say that I remember in the late 80s, trying to get those bigger projects. I remember in the 90s trying to get those
Mhm.
bigger projects.
Mhm.
And the comments were, something like somebody else had a bigger CV, or,
Right.
and then through the process, I also learned to listen
Mhm.
rather than try to just pitch myself
Yep.
to a potential employer. I actually
Mhm.
started to learn how to pay attention to what was being said and to really get the vibe of the room.
Yep.
And so what I can say, like, you in a way, I think when I started to really develop my professional career, it was when I was working on Are You Afraid of the Dark? It was 7 seasons of a kids show.
Yep.
And when I started that show,
Mhm.
I think it was like 1993, maybe,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think.
Mhm.
And I was actually making casseroles for the producers so that they didn't have to spend money at lunch, right? So I
Yeah,
was like,
we're all
what?
starting somewhere. I love that.
Yeah, I was doing it all. I did, I ran the camera. I was like
Right.
making lunch. I was like, whatever.
All right.
But
I
but
love it.
by the end of that,
Mm.
I had learned a shit ton.
Right. Right. Right.
I
Right.
had learned so much
Yeah.
about
Yep.
how to work and how to interact, and
Mhm.
so it was really kind of like cutting your teeth.
Right.
And
Yeah.
by the end of that, I definitely wasn't catering anymore.
I hope not.
And I had also been hiring readers at the time, and
Yeah.
then I ran camera myself, and then I
Yeah.
started to even start to hire other people to run the camera so that I could
Yeah.
actually observe and participate. So there was a real learning curve in that. So those
Right.
years, I think like
Yeah.
93 to 98.
Yeah. 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 Wow.
And
Okay.
yeah, it was, but I mean, I still consider myself as learning and growing. But I mean,
Yeah.
thankfully, I can say right now,
Yeah.
I feel very confident,
Right.
and I feel like we do have a reputable company
Of course. No, no. I mean, as
so far.
it's very reputable, and a lot of people look up to them, and you guys have casted like some of the most amazing movies, shows.
Yeah.
Um, the X-Men's, I believe, went through you guys.
We had a few of them. Yeah, we
A
had
few
a
of them.
few of them in Montreal, and
Yeah. Yeah.
every show is a different journey, right? Like you've
Right.
got a different captain at the helm,
Yeah. Yeah.
and different mandate, and
Yeah.
the different dynamic with the people at the helm. Whether or not
Yeah.
how integral you are to the decisions, and
Yeah. Hmm.
how much power we do or do not have at
Yeah.
any given moment is
Yeah.
really, it's a matter of that whole dynamic. So.
Absolutely. 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 No, totally. It's a very inspiring journey, honestly. Like it's actually why we love having people like that on the podcast. And I just want to remind people as well, the reason why this is called Breakthrough, is
Mhm.
just because we very often associate breakthrough to something very big in our career, like a big
Right,
role, a big swing, a recurring
right.
character, a lead. And not to take away anything from that, these are all definitely breakthroughs,
Yeah,
but I think it's equally as important to also celebrate the small wins.
yeah,
So, um, anything, even if an actor just books their first role when they've been trying for the last 3 years to do that, that's a
yeah,
breakthrough by itself. And it's actually
yeah,
why I call this breakthrough, this podcast.
yeah.
It's not about like
Mhm.
interviewing people that are like, super big or that they've made it or anything like that. It's about
Yeah.
inspiring and then showing people that are new into this that hey, it's possible. And
Mhm.
everything that you book uh matters, right?
Yeah,
It does
yeah.
matter because in grand scheme of things, it makes you get better. And
Mhm.
it's like eventually like what we all want is to book that big role that hopefully is meant for us. But
Mhm.
again, I think it's important to also celebrate the small wins, which
Oh
is
yeah.
why this is called Breakthrough. So
Mhm.
love that, love that. So we live in a world right now where we no longer go in the room, as we all know.
Oh,
Since COVID, uh, since we had COVID, basically the new standard, the new way of auditioning has pretty much been like on self tapes.
mm,
There's very little in-person auditions, as far as I know.
yeah.
And so so what that means also is that actors get very few, little to no feedback from casting anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's also one of the things that also haunts actors, where they don't even know if they're doing the right thing or not when they don't book it. Because they're
Yeah.
like, oh, like, is it me, or did I do something wrong? Was it my acting? Was it my
Mm.
looks? And very often we will just never know. That's
Yeah.
just the reality. So I guess like my question is, when you receive a tape, or when you audition someone in person, I guess,
Mhm.
what exactly are you looking for in terms of like is there like a checklist that you go through to basically like vet each audition to make them like, I guess, like to like, shortlist them and send them to,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so like how
Well,
does it, yeah,
yeah, I mean, like you covered a lot of actually points here, and actually it started making me think, sorry about the little wins.
yeah, no worries.
And the funny thing, I probably couldn't pull any right away off the top of my head, but it is something that I want to give some thought to now.
Yeah.
Like you inspired me to think about it because, like when I think about my career, it's like,
Mhm.
there might have been a time when a casting director from the United States called me to ask my advice or opinion on
Oh.
something, like, or ask for a suggestion for something.
Mhm.
And, and, and then it got positive feedback,
Mhm.
and then I'm thinking about a time when I might have gotten the job without interviewing for the job.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
but you know what I mean? Like those little moments, and I
right,
wasn't thinking about those, but you know what? There might be more, and I'd like to
right,
think about them. So
yeah,
thank you for that. Thanks for
yeah,
the inspiration.
of course,
Um,
yeah, that's what we're here for.
and then the concept of self tapes and feedback. The funny thing is, I wonder how many actors really actually got that feedback even before the self tapes, like
Mm,
in the live session. I
mm,
know that in my office, we spent like 20 minutes sometimes with an actor, or, like sometimes that would get me in trouble with the actor regulation of how long you kept people there.
yeah,
But like I was hearing from other casting people or other actors that some of the other sessions were like you'd go in, you'd read the lines, and you'd leave.
yeah,
So you really were you getting feedback? I was curious about
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Because I'm
So,
always trying to figure out ways to give feedback, but
mhm,
because Zoom, I hate the results of the Zoom auditions.
right, right.
I don't like the delay and like the
Yes, the delay,
response
and I agree. I see
and the
you.
quality, like the visual quality. It's not about somebody's internet feed. It's about the fact that we're divided. we're
Mhm.
But anyway, sorry. And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
I
no,
will
no, no,
answer your question at one point, but you were going to say something.
no, no, no. I was not gonna say anything. I was
Oh,
just,
okay,
yeah,
okay. I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
maybe about the feedback, about whether actors get feedback or not
Yes.
alive.
So, actually, no, you're right. I was gonna say something. It just came back to me.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, because like when I started acting back in 2018, I was, I guess, like fortunate enough to have experienced a little bit of the in-person auditions.
Hmm.
Again, like I think that only that was short-lived.
Yeah.
Like it was like
Yeah.
what, a year and a couple months before COVID came in. But
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you. You're right. Like we get very little feedback, even before COVID.
Yeah.
So, but
But I
also,
think what you might be talking about, and what people might be talking about in general, as I'm listening to you again, I'm thinking to myself, if I were to do this podcast
mhm,
without seeing you
mhm,
and it was just a voice,
yeah,
I might not be able to gauge whether or not you're responding to me
right,
or whether you're listening,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
And so maybe that's the difference that the actors are feeling.
right,
Because, like, if you're delivering comedy, you might have a laughter, a little giggle or a laugh in the live audition,
yeah,
or you'll know if you're not hitting it with the drama, you might hear like something else, like rustling, looking at, like, you know what I mean? Like you can maybe gauge whether somebody is engaged or
Yep.
interested, or,
Yep.
like there's a
Off
almost
of the
body noise,
reactions. Yeah.
body language or body noise. I don't know,
Yeah.
body
No, I mean,
noise.
I've seen it. I've seen it.
Yeah.
And then like nothing is more embarrassing when you're doing a comedy scene and then you rehearse your what's it called, the comedy beats and like
Oh,
the
yeah.
punchlines and where it hit, like where it's supposed to, you're supposed to hit the comedy beats or whatever,
Yep.
and then the laughs are just not landing. And
Yeah,
then you're
yeah.
like,
Well, that's what I'm saying. I
yeah,
actually, I was, when I even said that about the
yeah,
whole idea of did you really get feedback? But then I think about it, and true, just the mere presence of another individual, you can generally sense.
yeah.
You can sense whether they're with you or not in a weird way. So
Mm-hmm.
I get it. In terms of assessing the tapes and the auditions, sometimes there's a criteria that's visual or sound, like, do you look like blah blah blah, do you
Mm-hmm.
sound like blah blah blah, like, is this a leader, is this somebody who would run a country or run a business, or somebody who controls a room, a surgical room, something like that, like a status, some sort of status.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking for a certain image, maybe, or they have to match somebody. So
Right.
there's the visuals, there's the sound, and maybe at the same time I might be consulting the CVs and seeing how much actual experience the person has or doesn't have.
Mm-hmm.
um, and also, I mean, so those are elements, but
Yeah, yeah,
then it does come down to the performance on, and I think that's what you're most interested in, is what are we looking for in terms of the performance elements.
mm-hmm.
And
Yep, totally.
as I'm watching auditions, or I'm keeping track of what an actor brings and what they don't bring.
Mm-hmm.
And what I find I want to see is I want to see the actor make it more than what is on the page.
Right.
I don't need to hear the lines being said.
Yes.
I want to see the lines being infused with a life. I want them to be your life. I want that you to
Mm-hmm.
create a life
Mm-hmm.
and create an individual or a character that
Mm-hmm.
has a life
Mm-hmm.
and has a moment before this scene and a moment after. I know the moment after and before sounds a little cliche, but
Yep.
it's implying that that character has life
Yep.
beyond these moments,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and
Yep.
understanding the big picture of the scene
Mm-hmm.
rather than just taking it a line by line by line by line.
Right.
I don't need to see the lines delivered.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not looking for a line delivery.
Right.
I'm looking for the scene and the character.
Yeah, because if you're looking for line delivery, you don't need an actor for that. You can just give the sides to anybody
Yeah,
on the street and can you just read
yeah,
this and like
yeah.
you would get that, right?
And some
Yeah.
can do it very convincingly,
Right.
and
Exactly. Yep.
others
Yep.
not so convincingly.
Yeah.
But again, that's not the end. That's not the be all and the end all.
Mm-hmm.
It's the ones that make something of it
Yes.
and make me believe
Mm-hmm.
that what they're saying they truly care about.
Yeah.
And so really it is being intrigued, and you know, an individual has a perception and a vision, of whatever however you speak, however you present yourself in the world,
Mm-hmm.
you have a perception of things, and you pick up details that I wouldn't, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
and I pick up details that maybe you don't.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't have to be something so absurd or ridiculous or
Yeah.
unheard of,
Yeah.
but like that unique vision. There was an actor who's a friend of mine who said that what
Mm-hmm.
they do is they be they what their first interpretation of the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have a first vision of what that scene should look like,
Mm-hmm.
but then what about maybe three or four other versions of that? What
Mm-hmm.
if they dig a little deeper,
Mm-hmm.
see it a little bit more interestingly or uniquely, or like explore it more? Now obviously you don't always have the time,
Mm-hmm.
to dig so deep, but maybe that's a skill you want to develop, is the ability to look at a scene and see it in maybe 3 or 4 different ways,
Yeah. Yeah.
or pick up the specifics that you missed that first version. Because
Mhm.
the first version, 25 people might do it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's going to distinguish you from those other 25 people
Yeah. Yeah.
is your unique vision of it, like the
100%.
what you see that somebody else didn't see,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I usually like to compare this to a product that you buy on Amazon or when
Yeah.
you go to a specific shop.
Huh.
I don't know if you've ever shopped on Amazon, but if
Huh.
you're looking for a spoon or like any sort of product,
Yeah.
when
Yeah. And I
everyone's
actually
selling,
recently bought a spoon
you
on
buy
Amazon. I did. So
you bought a spoon. I mean,
I
I'm not
bought
sure if I would
not
go to
just a
Amazon and buy a
single
spoon.
spoon, it was 6 spoons,
Six,
and they
yeah.
were
It
very
usually comes with
long.
like a pack of 10, like a pack of 100 or something.
Yeah.
But that's so funny.
It is funny, but
I mean,
it's
if
true.
right, so if you're looking for a spoon, right, like just like a general product like a spoon on Amazon,
Yeah.
and then you've got like 100 people selling
Yep.
the exact same spoon.
Right.
The only thing that changes is maybe the price. One of them is selling them for 8.99, 9.99, 10.99, but you have that one person who is selling that sort of special spoon, which is like, it's like a spoon that has like, I don't know, maybe like a fork at the tail end of it or something. It's like a spoon plus a fork. And you're like,
I
oh,
have
okay,
one of those too, by the
you
way.
do.
It's called a spork.
Is that what it's called? Is that
It's
actually a
called a
thing?
spork.
I did
Yeah, it
not. I
is.
did not know this was a thing. Okay, I might
And a
need to get
fork.
myself one. I might need to get myself one of those. Like they can actually be
Okay.
handy.
And it's pretty good. It's convenient
Is it?
nowadays, well,
Yeah.
because everybody's giving you like the little wood flat things
Right.
at all the places. I'm like, no, I want my own. Sorry.
It would definitely like save a lot on materials and plastic. That's for sure.
There you go.
But
Sorry, back to this
yeah,
spoon
it's just this
analogy.
comparison. This analogy, yeah. So like I like to compare it to that where you're right because we get the sides and I guess like the first instinct of
Hmm.
somebody is to play them a specific way or like maybe sometimes I see lines and I'm like, oh, this line there's only like this line has to be played like this. There's no other way to play this line.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's
Hmm.
only when you actually like I guess like not even when I start memorizing, but it's only like when I start to like pace in the house and
Hmm.
start reciting the line
Yeah,
over and over and
yeah,
over and over
yeah,
that I discover things.
yeah,
Because obviously like there's a lot of these things, like knowing your objective, the moment before, the moment after,
yeah.
knowing your intentions, the tactics, what are you
Hmm.
trying to do, how are you trying to affect the person with each line,
What do you
all that
want? Yeah,
stuff.
what do you
But
want?
also when we think about it
Hmm.
as human, we're doing all of these things instinctively.
Of
Right? I'm
course.
talking to you right now, and I'm not like my intention is sort of like it's driving itself through the lines that I'm saying. I'm not
Yeah,
like thinking beforehand, oh,
right.
that's my intention
And
with
how
my
will
line that
I
I'm saying right
say
now. It's just
this?
like,
Yeah.
and I think like that's why sometimes people get like actors get like sort of like really what's the word I'm looking for?
Bogged
Stuck,
down,
stuck. That's why they get
bogged
really,
down.
really stuck because they rehearse this line so many times and they've written it on the paper. They're like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna try to beg for forgiveness in this line. I'm gonna try to, I'm gonna try to flirt with them in this line, and then they have all these tactics that they saved
Mhm.
in their in
Mhm.
their in their system, and then it's just like at the end of it, like when we actually are when you think about it when we behave as human we don't actually like do that
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah,
sort of like it's already all in our head and that's where the skill lives is how do you do
yeah,
this instinctively to a point where you're no longer thinking about your
yeah,
intentions it's just sort of living and
yeah,
breathing and I
yeah.
think that's maybe where and I think that's as far as I know the auditions that I booked is really
Hmm.
when I it's just like it's just there like obviously you do
Yeah,
all the work on the paper but
yep.
like once it's time to let go
And you gotta let go.
you gotta
Yeah.
trust that you've done the work
Well,
you know what I'm saying
that's it. I agree with you because I think it is done in the preparation, right?
yeah
It's got like you've got to get to the point where it doesn't appear to be rehearsed
yeah
and
yeah
so
yeah
or planned.
mm,
And so there is the skill in that, right? And
mm,
I mean, again, that same friend tells me that they run their lines like 200 times, literally 200 times, to the point where they don't have to think about the lines
yeah
anymore,
yeah
right? And
yeah
so, but it does help in preparation, in
yeah
preparing,
Yeah.
that you have skills at your disposal, like the concept of inner monologue, the concept of what you want, what do you want out of the scene, like, and then how do you manifest that? You make some decisions and you make some choices and you
Mhm.
explore the possibilities.
Mhm.
And I think it's nice to have more than one because you can play. Then you're
Yep.
not like you said, if you get stuck into one way of saying it or one way of delivering it, then yeah, then it becomes rehearsed and it
Yes.
becomes
Yeah.
performed
Yeah.
rather than lived, I mean,
Yes.
so I think it is about having those skills and those tools at your disposal
Hmm.
in the preparation stage, and but then letting go of them
Hmm.
when you're doing your performance, right?
Yeah,
Like you have
absolutely.
to trust them or have developed them to the point where you don't need to think about it.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely. And that takes practice. It's easier. It's definitely
Yeah,
like easier said than done,
of
but
course. Hello.
it's easier said than done. But that's I mean that's why like that's why actors get paid that much because if
Yeah,
everyone could do that,
yeah,
this wouldn't be such a lucrative opportunity,
for sure.
and we would have more actors in the world. And
Yeah.
yeah, because like this is a skill to have that very few people are willing to pursue.
But it's still accessible. That's the good
Of
news,
course, yeah, that's the good
right?
news. It's not
Yeah,
impossible.
if you keep working at it, I
Yeah,
I think that's an important message, is that it is accessible if you do the work, and you have to always be willing and open to the concept of growth, and learning and growth. And so yeah, I think that that's
yeah, no,
an
absolutely.
important element.
And I think it's also important as well to um, because I hear sometimes like friends of mine where and newer actors as well,
Mhm.
where they come from theater and then they transition to film and TV, and they have this sort of like theater, theater behavior
Yeah, yeah.
where they're too scared to take some risks because they're like, oh, is this too much? Like, film and TV, it's supposed to be nice, grounded, and contained. Whereas
Mhm.
theater, you have a little more room for playing. You can
Mhm. Yeah,
theater,
it's
you
it's
you
broader.
can go
Yeah.
broader, you can go wider with your hands, with your voice. No one's gonna, if anything, they're gonna love it. So uh, what do you say as far as like risk taking during an audition? Do you
Mhm.
think it's
Is
um
it the place to take risk?
yeah,
Is that the
or
question?
to play the conservative card, the conservative,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you know what? I don't know that I would go from the concept of the theater actor as the
Hmm.
concept of risk,
Hmm.
because I think usually the if anything, they fear doing too little.
Right.
Like if we're trying to guide them,
Hmm.
they're used to large. So
Yeah.
when we say do less, they're afraid that doing less will be nothing. It's the ones who are kind of who are already doing minimal and they do less and they end up doing nothing. You got to kind of be very careful. It has to be rich, even though it's nothing, it has to be rich.
Hmm.
Because obviously we all know that once the camera's like this,
Right.
you don't have to do much, right?
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
going to catch it if it's in the inside.
Hmm.
Um, Back to your question, risk. Um, I think it has to be an educated risk.
Right.
I think you have to do your homework and know maybe who the director is, know what the type of show, the genre of the show.
Hmm.
Um, you know, and if you do want to take a crazy risk out of nowhere,
Hmm.
also back yourself up with a more not risky version,
Right. Like
just to
couple
show.
takes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just to
Yeah.
show that you've got one thing that I've been asking actors for recently, and it's funny because it's exhausting already watching all these auditions, right? We're watching them into the wee hours of the morning, but I've recently realized without the ability to interface with the actors on the spot, they're presenting us with one take in some cases, and it's like, oh, how what if the actor, and where they're not certain, like I'm not sure of how big it is or how little
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
or how broad or how
Hmm.
off the wall or whatever, how angry somebody is or irritated, then propose another version because we aren't in the same room now. I can't necessarily tell you because usually guidance and direction is based on what you see
Yes.
and you give feedback. But if you don't see it in advance, you can't necessarily give a broad stroke, you
Right.
know, when you're doing your self tapes, everyone,
Yeah.
because you might not do what five other guys do, and going down the wrong path. And then if you take that note and do less than what you're doing, and what you were doing is fine, then what the heck am I ending up with? So it's really it's very hard. We're all navigating this new reality. I hate to say it, and I think it just evolved. There was obviously, we know that during the pandemic it was necessary. It was the so that everybody felt safe, so that everybody, the productions didn't have to test everybody coming into an audition and
Mhm.
ensure everyone that came into an audition. But
Yeah.
it is very frustrating now, I think, for both sides,
Yeah.
because I think everybody would like to do the live sessions
Mhm.
again.
Mhm.
Um, so I can understand the frustration, but
Yeah.
again, in terms of the risk, going back to the risk idea, as I would recommend always, maybe if it hasn't been advised to you that they only will accept one take, I would
Yeah.
send a second.
Oh, yeah. That's
At least a second, maybe a third, but no more than three, because I think
yeah,
four is too much.
I agree. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm a big advocate for that. I totally agree with you. Unless it says one take, I always like send a couple ones just to give them a couple options because you're right.
Yeah.
We're
Great.
no longer in the room. We can't get a redirect.
Yeah.
You don't know you don't know what they want, so might as
Yeah.
well give them a couple options to pick from. So,
Yeah, exactly.
um,
But have something different in them.
yes, I was
Don't
gonna say
send
that.
two of the same take. It's like meh,
That's my next
meh,
point.
meh,
Yeah,
meh.
like they have to be like polar opposite. Like if it's like, yeah.
Or something distinctive. Like
Mhm.
I've had people label their takes. This one is lighter, this one is,
Mhm.
more traumatic or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it depends on what the scene is and what
yeah,
the variance could be.
yeah,
But
yeah.
even if you label it or send a little note along with it, that's kind of
Mhm.
cool.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah. No, no, I totally agree.
Mhm.
That's such good insight. Um, like how crucial would you say are demo reels when starting out? Like, I mean, headshots are obviously important because you got to upload them on all these casting websites.
Mhm.
But would you not like, let's say you receive a very strong tape and the
Mhm.
person has no reel,
Yeah.
because I guess they haven't had, or at least professional reel, I should
Yeah.
say. Because everyone can get like, any sort of footage if you just get with somebody and then you can film it.
Yeah,
But
you can
like,
create your own little
the,
scenes. Yeah.
yes, exactly. So how important all these sort of like demo reels and these exterior sort of like
Supportive material.
assets, these
Yeah.
exterior
Yeah.
assets that
Yeah.
usually fortifies your auditions? Is that
hmm
something that you look into still?
I think it depends on the role.
Hmm.
Because in my day to day, especially for television,
Yeah,
unless it's the guest star,
yeah,
um, I think we rely heavily on the auditions.
yeah.
Um, Personally,
Hmm.
I enjoy the ability to get to know an actor I don't know
Hmm.
by looking at whatever materials they have on these sites, like casting workbook or breakdown services or
Hmm.
whatever.
Hmm.
Whatever I have access to, it's educational. I wouldn't necessarily show those scenes like you're suggesting if two friends get together and record a scene. I wouldn't necessarily show that to a director.
Of course not. Yeah,
But
totally.
there are times when, and like I like the idea that I could do it at 3 in the morning and I can access more information about you.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, but in terms of whether or not I would consider somebody, I mean, no, it's really what you're doing with the scene. But if perhaps the scene is short and
Hmm.
this is an important part
Hmm.
in like in terms of a guest star or a supporting role in a film, um, they're all important, yes. But in terms of the ability of the actor's range,
Hmm.
in that regard, I would want to see more about the actor. And so
Hmm.
it's helpful if an actor has a demo because they might have something on that demo that
Yeah.
can support what I need to know about them.
Yeah.
If not, then maybe they have to go to callbacks or something to that effect and
Right.
check out the other scene. I would never eliminate an actor because they don't have a demo reel.
Hmm. That makes
You
sense.
know?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think putting together some materials is a great idea because it is
Mm-hmm.
an introductory.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if all casting directors feel the same way and if all casting directors would explore material that's not professional. I think I've heard this question asked before, like, will you accept materials that are not officially demo clips? Like they're not professional work.
Yeah.
And and there are varying opinions on that.
Mm.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
but for me, I find it educational.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think there are certainly another group of casting people that would agree with me.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, the casting director sh just needs to know and to see that you can actually do this, right? As long as they're convinced in their head through your footage and
Uh-huh.
even through your demo reel that you can do this, in my opinion, I don't know. But again, obviously, like a professional reel is always better, gives you more credibility, it gives you more leverage
Uh-huh.
as well. But I mean, as long as the casting director can feel that they can trust you on set,
Mhm.
then and then they can
I
trust
think
you.
it's certainly helpful. And
Mhm.
then,
Yeah,
I mean, our job is to kind
yeah,
of focus on the casting and propose
yeah. To
who
propose, yeah,
we think will bring something special
yeah,
to the character.
yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I did a cross country search for a lead for a young girl, 12
Hmm.
to 14-year-old girl this
Hmm.
past year.
Hmm.
And we opened it up across Canada. And I can't tell you how many submissions we had, but I think we asked for
Hmm.
maybe 300 auditions. And out of that, I think I proposed maybe 50.
Hmm.
And out of that, 18 girls were A's, meaning I was convinced they could almost do anything, you know?
Right,
Um, and it's not always the A's that get the callbacks, and it's not always
right.
the A's that get hired.
Yeah.
But the fact is that there is a small group of people that will um, bring something special
Hmm.
to even in a cross country search, and
Hmm.
but I think the comforting part is that it's about what you bring, you individually will bring. And so
Hmm.
yes, your interpretation, you have to be guided by the material and the show and the director, but the way you manifest that can be it has to manifest from you and your vision, so you don't have to go far from who you are.
Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
but anyway, it just makes it more exciting and interesting.
No, 100%. I agree. I think like, I mean, there's always like a part of us in each character. Like you're not trying to play someone that is 100% different
Yeah.
than you. There's always like a bit of you because you are the one speaking the lines at the end
Mhm.
of the day. They are coming out of your own soul.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have like another person, like another
Yeah.
identity that you turn on demand and like, oh, all right, this
The
is,
com yeah.
you know what
The
I mean? So
commonality comes from the appearance,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
Commonality comes from appearance, but the
Mhm.
individuality is every actor that comes in
Yeah.
brings something special and
Right.
unique to them.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
that's what you kind of want to get in touch with, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. So, um, just to go back a little bit to the audition side of things,
Yeah.
what makes you click out if you do click out
Oh,
on tapes? Like, are there some things that actors do that really gets on your skin, on like under your
yeah.
skin, or makes you click out of their audition that like, okay, this like they're not getting it, this is not unacceptable. What would you say like are things that actors do, maybe without even
I
them
have
knowing?
to I have to think with depth about some
Mhm.
of this, but
Mhm.
it kind of we've covered a little bit of it in the past, and that I find that if I can sense that they're just saying a line, they're just sometimes my feedback is it's just they're delivering lines.
Right.
They're um
They're just saying it as it is. Yeah.
they're just saying the and not I'm not you know I'm not saying that everybody that I've ever submitted has been a genius read. That's not what I'm saying. I'm
Hmm.
saying literally it gets to the point where you're like they're just saying what's on the page.
Hmm.
Literally just saying what's on the page. And um so I mean, but I think
Hmm.
I'm trying to think if there are other specifics that can be helpful to you, in terms of what
Hmm.
you know, people aren't necessarily the right type. They aren't
Yep.
necessarily the right sound. They aren't real, so there's a few things that eliminate people
Hmm.
sometimes,
Hmm.
right? Like
Hmm.
once you see them in action.
Hmm.
Um, and then there's the tech stuff that, you just want to track it so you can tell them, look, next time you do an audition, don't turn in profile, like, talk to just to the side of the camera.
Yeah.
But
100%.
in terms of the thing that I think tells me this actor needs more skills or no more training is when they purely, as I said, just are delivering lines.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can tell that they're going line by line. Like it's a line
But the
and they deliver the
punctuation.
line. Yeah, they deliver the line and then they check out until the next cue. And that to me is like, oh God, kill me. Because I don't need to hear you just say the lines.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I want to see you care about everything you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Invest
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
story and the character. What does the character want?
100%.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. I
what
mean, if you
brings you
can.
from that line to this line?
Mhm.
You're not checking out.
Mhm. Mhm.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, I'd need to push and dig a little deeper if I will
Yeah.
do that
100%.
part
I think
two.
like sometimes like when I'm taping with my friends as well, one one little game I like to play, sometimes we just like look at each other's tape and we kind of give each other feedback as to like
Cool.
what we think.
Yeah.
And one little game that I like to play with my friends, my actor friends, sometimes I'm like, if I can't figure out what your objective is
Oh,
through your line, chances are you're reciting the lines and you're not living them.
right,
Like
right.
I should be able to like I should be able to I should be able to have a pretty good estimation of what your objective is, of what you're trying to do to the other character, what you're doing to them. Obviously, like you're not stating your objective in the scene. You're just sort of
Right,
it's just there, but it's powering each of your lines.
right.
If I can't tell what your objective is during
Hmm.
the scene just by watching your audition,
Right.
then yeah, there's
Well, I think
that yeah.
you might not necessarily know precisely what somebody's objective is,
Hmm.
but if you know that
Yes.
something is happening, if
Hmm.
you get the sensation and you're curious,
Hmm.
like, oh, does he like her?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
oh, does he want to date her? Or
Yes.
oh, do they want their money? Like, are they trustworthy? Like whatever gets you,
Questioning. Yes.
intrigued, yeah,
Yes. Yes.
or
Intrigued.
pulls you in, it's
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
I want to hear what they're going to say next. I want to know
Yes.
what they're going to do next.
Yes. Yes.
But if there's no belief in what you're doing, or there's
Hmm.
no choices being made
Hmm.
by you, the actor,
Yeah.
what we see is kind of that generic nothing,
Yeah.
generic nothingness. It's like,
Yeah.
well, do they
100%.
care? They
And
don't
it's
even care.
a 100%. And it's actually what we see also in the movies when you think about it. When we go to the movies, the scenes that we enjoy the most is when we're like, wait, are they falling in love? Like there's something here.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I
yeah,
was like, or like when they leave you on a cliffhanger, like, oh, that's what that was.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like what when you're piecing it and then that gets you, as you said, intrigued and like yeah, gets you thinking because these are the beautiful scenes that we love to watch.
moments. Yeah.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
this is it. I mean, I've watched a couple of TV series. I won't
Yeah.
necessarily say
Hmm.
which ones, and there's silence. There's no
Yeah.
lines,
Yeah.
but those actors have our attention and they have our curiosity. It's like,
Yeah.
what is it? What are they thinking right now? Or we feel what we feel what they're feeling,
Hmm.
regardless of the fact that they, like they have
Yeah.
nothing, they're not using words, but we know what they're
Yep.
feeling. And we're
100%.
with them on it. So those are the magic moments, right? They
100%.
really can.
What's that one scene? I'm trying to remember the movie. It happens in a shop where there's no dialogue.
Oh, okay.
There's
I
no
don't.
dialogue at all. No,
Oh,
no one's
wow.
saying anything. It's like a two or
Yeah.
three people scene.
Right.
I have to pull it up. But
Yeah.
like the acting was so intense, and
Yeah.
then you can tell there's so much tension,
Yeah.
um, just off of the looking at their eyes, and you can
Yeah.
tell there's there's something's happening, but they're not saying a single word. Like for 5 minutes, not a
But
single word is being said.
see how the passion you're even just talking about it. It's like,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's the exciting thing. That's
yeah,
when that's
yeah,
when we're all like, ooh,
yeah,
yes. You know.
yeah,
And
yeah. No, no,
I mean,
absolutely.
I think sometimes we lose sight of the passion that we have
We
for what
do.
we do,
Yeah, yeah.
and
I think
it's
like one of the best advice that I've ever been given is, and it's actually something that it makes total sense,
Mhm.
but like it's so important to live life to be able to act, you
Yeah.
know? Like
Mhm.
we care so much about the technical side of things where we're trying to play a certain emotion, where we're trying to do this, do that. But I think it's so important to just like, take a step back of all of that sometimes and
Mhm.
just go have a walk,
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
read a book, go
Yeah.
to the gym, go for a
Yeah.
run, go for a hike,
Live.
do the things that we actually do in real life. Because
Yeah.
like it all makes up for like experiences that we can all draw from at some point.
Totally.
Anything that you do is something that will serve you at some point in your life.
Contributes. Yeah, and it contributes
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, your life experience. It's funny because my dad was very, very, very protective, right? And
Mhm.
I was kind of like Nemo, I wasn't allowed to keep me safe, but from life as well.
Right.
And I mentioned my dad was an acting teacher, and
Mhm.
he forced me to take the acting classes because I was extremely shy. And I didn't want to be an actor. I
Mhm.
enjoyed singing, but I didn't
Mhm.
want to be an actor.
Mhm.
But he made me take the acting classes.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I he did a lot of improv as part of the training. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I have no life experience. Like I know four walls,
Right.
and television,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And but yeah, you start to see how critical it is that an
Mhm.
individual have a life and have
Yeah.
life experiences, and
Mhm.
they
Mhm.
all do contribute, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly what you
No,
just said.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool.
Um, so just before we move into the industry side of things, I just want to ask one more question regarding the audition aspects.
Hmm.
So, you've obviously like, casted a lot of actors. So, what would you say like is the common denominator um amongst people that do book guest stars and recurring? What are they doing that others aren't? Would you say? Outside of like obviously like being present and all that, do you think
Mhm.
that they're really um yeah, I guess what do you say is the common denominator? Like what do you
It's hard to say beyond what we've already discussed because
Mhm,
all of those elements kind
mhm.
of conspire to create the perfect storm, right?
Right, right.
Including though the essence and the type, like your essence, you bring an essence, and
Mhm,
these are things you kind of can't control. It's like
mhm.
who you are as a.
Yeah,
Um, but truly the thing that will tip it over,
yeah.
and again, you can have, as I said, you have 18 awesome actors for
Mhm,
I'm talking about
mhm,
kids now,
mhm, mhm,
but even adults, you could submit like 10, 12 absolutely awesome interpretations of a character.
mhm.
And the clients pick one,
Yeah,
right? Obviously, they have to only pick one. How do
yeah,
they do that? So
yeah.
those 10 or 11 or nine other actors who did everything perfect, it's there's a part of this that you can't take personally. It's a bit arbitrary, and you've done everything you could have done, but it's like just the it's do you
Hmm.
what is it that triggers them to pick one person over and it's usually their own essence and what they're searching for,
Hmm.
what they envision.
Yeah.
And how one individual can match a vision of somebody they don't even know is an impossible task. So really what you need to do is just the best, which is to
Hmm.
be
Hmm.
truthful to your own creativity
Hmm.
and do your homework and make decisions and make choices.
Hmm.
So again, all of these things, but
Hmm.
aligned also with the suitability, which is the nature of casting in the first place. Are you the right look? Are you the right sound? And do you bring the right qualities to the character? So
Yeah.
what can you control? You can control how good like how much you do your homework and with the situation that is in front of you, like you're
Hmm.
not always given a lot of time.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
everybody's trying to aim towards a certain number of pages with a certain amount of prep and
Hmm.
et cetera, et cetera. But
Hmm.
we all know that that doesn't always manifest,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, yes, but they're shooting in 2 days. They just wrote the role in, and the AD scheduled it in 2 days. And wardrobe needs a costume that's got to be ordered and delivered from the UK yesterday. So everybody is doing their best considering all of the elements that have to,
Hmm.
conspire.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
I agree.
so
No.
again, I'm sorry to not be able to give you a clear cut. Here is the list of things, but I think
Mhm.
we've been discussing all of the things
Yeah,
that are
yeah, no,
wrong.
100%. No,
Yeah.
that was pretty clear actually. That makes total sense. Uh,
Okay.
no, like I mean, at the end of the day, you just want to give you want to do your best, and you want to be able to let go and just trust it.
Yeah.
If casting is requesting you, it means that you are doing something right, or else
Mhm.
they would not call you in. So,
100%. That is true. Or we
right.
want to get to know you. If we don't know you, we want to get to know you. And if we
Yep.
do know you, we do
Hmm.
believe you could be a candidate.
Yeah.
Because otherwise,
Hmm.
why put anybody? There's no reason to put everybody through all the steps of auditioning
Hmm.
unless that were the case.
Yeah. No, 100%. Totally.
Everything
My,
okay?
my voice, yeah, it's my little Alexa. She reminds me of
Oh, that's
my Alexa. We're okay here. We're okay.
yeah, yeah. Be quiet, Alexa. We're busy.
We're busy. We're busy. We're shooting a podcast. Amazing, amazing. Um, what do you think of like yoga for actors? I heard like a lot of things that a lot of people suggest acting coaches. I've seen a lot of people suggest all actors do yoga because it really helps you center and
Hmm.
be in touch with. Do you suggest every actor? Do you have things for actors that like you send them to like yoga
Oh,
or
I
singing?
see. Anything I would recommend.
Hmm.
Well, you know what? I think that's interesting. I've never heard about the yoga idea, although I think that's not a bad idea. That you find a way to control your state of being, the nerves, etc. I would think that one thing that I would recommend everybody do, but again, not everybody will receive it well, and not
Hmm.
everybody will process it well.
Hmm.
But I find reading about acting,
Hmm.
reading about the process, reading about other people's processes.
Hmm.
I think you never know when you might come across an interesting nugget.
Right.
And I think because that what that does is that exposes you to some input. And I think we all need input. I think we need somebody to disrupt a little bit about the way we think. And because we could live in a vacuum and continue to move through the world as we are. But I think the minute you hear something or there's some input into your life,
Hmm.
and from a source that's interesting or intriguing, you can hear a friend from down the street who, I don't know what he does, but the fact is, if he's not an expert on acting, maybe he has something to offer. But it's
Hmm.
kind of nice to read from people who have had
Yeah.
experiences in the field that you're interested,
Yeah.
to listen to what they have to say. And there might be something that nugget that you pick up, and
Hmm.
it'll shift something in you,
Hmm.
and the way you perceive other things will be different.
That's
So
so
I
true.
find reading is a really valuable tool in our, lives that
Yeah.
not a lot of people use these days.
Yeah. No, no. I mean, especially when, unfortunately, we live in a world where there's a video version of every book now.
Of
So,
everything. Yeah, yeah.
so,
Well, I mean, yeah,
I mean, like, yeah,
the only reason I would maybe
yeah,
I still value
yeah,
YouTube and audio
yeah.
formats,
Hmm.
but I think sometimes the reading, you don't literally have somebody in front of you,
Hmm.
and so it is almost a little closer to your own
It's more
process.
intimate. Yeah,
Nobody's telling you how to see it.
true.
You know what I mean? Like they're
Yep.
not presenting it to you. You're fully interpreting what you're reading,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it allows you to kind of sit with it a little bit more here, and it comes to you personally. So I
Yeah.
don't know. That's
Yeah. I
just
mean, I still read even today. The Power of the Actor, probably
yeah.
one of my favorite books. I don't know
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
anyone does not read it, like it's such a amazing book by Ivana Chubbuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, really, really good book.
Yeah.
Um, I want to touch on the industry side of things real quick here before we wrap this episode up. So you've obviously said you've been in the game since 1990. You founded the your casting agency. So how would you say like you've seen the industry change? Do you feel like it's changed for the better, for the worse? Like was it, I mean, it's obviously like easier now than I guess when it was back then. But where do you think also we're heading as far as like is like audition, like is this like how it's gonna be? Like we're gonna stay on self tapes? Are we gonna go back in the room at some point? How like what like what are your thoughts on the industry as a whole as it progressed to where it is today?
Yeah. Um, that's a huge question. As I mentioned to you, I've watched the technology evolve, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And I do feel that with that evolution of technology, the expectations from the actor have become more and more and more.
Mhm.
Um, there I could see the almost days when a director in an audition room expected performance. That it was no longer an audition, it became performance.
Right.
And the level of audition had to be at the level of performance.
Mhm.
So I think that the with the evolution of the methodology of auditioning, the
Mhm.
expectations have grown.
Right.
And even within myself, even when I'm viewing,
Mhm.
yeah, I've lost maybe the ability to appreciate the cold read,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and I guess you have to be really good at the cold read for me to feel like it was okay. So
Right.
it's weird, right? So our
Mhm.
expectations have grown, and I think
Mhm.
there are people that are making the judgments as to whether or not you get hired. I'm
Mhm.
talking about directors and producers
Mhm.
who may
Mhm.
have not been around at the time when things were a little bit less intense for an actor during an audition process. So
Yeah.
their expectations are just that's reality.
Mhm.
That's not a growth. That's just the way it is, right?
Right. Right.
Um uh I am sad that we don't have that interaction, the direct interaction.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there is a population of the actors that are preferring it this way.
Yeah.
And it allows me the luxury of, in some cases, seeing more actors than I would have because
Mm. Okay.
we were constricted by a budget. How much, because we have to charge for readers and camera operators and
That's true.
facilities, and
Yeah.
so, we'd be told you have this much money per episode to spend for
Mhm.
casting
Mhm.
expenses
Mhm.
or whatever, and so you're always trying to watch your budget for them,
Interesting. Okay.
and
Mm.
so you'd see less people,
Mhm.
but that meant you saw more of the usual suspects
Mhm.
and had less opportunity to
Yeah.
explore new actors,
Yeah. Yeah.
so there's a joy in being able to see new actors because it's more
Mhm.
fun,
Mhm.
and you get to see different people and what
100%.
they might do with something.
Mhm.
So there again, there's like pluses and minuses. I mean, I would not always direct my own sessions,
Hmm.
so but I would be reviewing what was done during the day,
Hmm.
and I could do that whenever I want. So it was a version of a self-tape,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Already. So that's not necessarily an advantage. Although,
Yeah, yeah.
it is hard, and I feel burdened by the idea that actors are spending a lot of money, and I'm hoping they find ways to not do it,
Hmm.
not cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
I, hopefully you can still deduct it on your taxes at the end of the year,
We can hope that,
but
yeah.
yeah, but the thing is, I would hope that an actor starts to find a simple way
Hmm.
to self-tape,
Hmm.
because if they can, and they can find a way to do that, that's
Hmm.
preferred.
Hmm.
Um, in terms of the future, I I really don't know what's ahead.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm worried, with the advent of productions wanting to spend less and less money, but I understand that they have reasons as well.
Hmm.
you know, um, and hang on, I think I just realized I have to say okay to you. Yes, you can record. Um, anyway, there was a little button that I had to say, okay, you can record.
Yeah.
Um,
You're
but
good.
anyway, I know that productions there's reasons that they have less and less money to make the
Hmm.
materials, I mean
Hmm.
the shows.
Hmm.
And but I am a little worried about the advent of AI and the replacement of actors with
Yeah. We saw
non.
that with Tilly Norwood not long ago.
Yeah, yeah. I I
That's-
I haven't done enough reading about it, but it frightens me. It does
it
frighten me.
really is. Unfortunately, this is the world we live in where AI is taking a lot of the things, and there's not much we can do to stop that. It's just,
Yeah.
it seems like it's part of the game. We get something we're gonna have to live with. So hopefully,
I hope the discernment is there, like in the audience.
yeah,
Hope the audience
mm,
feels this is not enough, or
yeah,
this isn't what I want to watch. This isn't what I
yeah,
want to see. I want to see a real human experience. I
yeah,
want to see what's behind the eyes
hmm,
and in the soul, which you can see.
hmm,
You feel it and you can see it, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
no insult to AI, but if you're
We're not
listening,
there.
I'm not talking about. No, I'm just kidding. But it's like, just watch. That's the next movie.
Next thing
Yes.
you know, like ChatGPT raised their memberships
Yeah.
next month.
Yeah. Yeah. My computer has just gone blank. There's nothing anywhere. Anyway, I'm
Oh,
just kidding.
that's so funny.
But the bottom line is, yeah, I'm hoping for I just hope that it's the audience that,
Hmm. Hmm.
that says, no, this is not suitable.
Hmm. Hmm.
I require,
Yeah.
you know,
Hmm.
um, more individual, personal,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, that's what we crave at the end of the day, right? As human beings, like when we watch things on TV and film, it's the connection between the characters and the realism, and then the raw, the raw emotions, and then that's what we want. And that these are things that AI, as far as I know.
I wonder if they've done testing. I wonder if they've done testing with an individual and shown a real human performance, and then an AI performance, or something like that, side by side, and
I I don't know, but
not told
it's
them
it
what they're seeing, and seeing if they got the same emotional connection, or
yeah,
I think that would
yeah.
be
I
interesting.
I'm not sure how deep in we're in,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
in that. I have no idea. We'll have to do a little bit more research, but it's definitely
Yeah.
scary because I've definitely seen some videos.
Right.
Even in my business, it's just like outside of acting. I was like watching a UGC video, which is
Hmm.
basically like someone buys a product, they record a video of them talking about how they enjoy the product.
Hmm.
And I was watching this video the other day, and of someone in their backyard, um, talking about this product that they bought on Amazon.
Hmm.
And it was like, oh, this dog leash that I bought is super good and super well, and my dogs are super happy now, and no, 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 no. And not in a million years I would have thought that this was AI. It looks like someone who legit was reviewing a product,
Yeah.
but it was fully AI generated from
God.
the video, from the voice. It looked so real
Oh
that
dear.
it scares the hell out of me. So
Yeah,
like,
I know. We'll have to
if they
have like
if, right? So,
Trauma from all of that. I'll have to do trauma
yeah, yeah.
rehabilitation.
Actually, upon looking at my notes here, I want to end with this question because I forgot to
Okay.
ask it earlier.
Well,
Um, Last thing we're going to talk about here is headshots.
okay.
So first of all, just kind of like paint us a picture of what casting directors see on the back end when um, they release a breakdown to casting, and then when to casting to agents. I'm sorry, and they release the breakdown to agents, and then agents propose their actors. My understanding is that you guys receive like a bunch of small boxes, headshots, and then you guys click on the one that you see that you want.
Mhm.
Correct me if I'm wrong. That's my understanding of it. And then on that note as well, so if we exclude that the actors that casting already know, for newer actors and for actors I guess who don't know,
Mhm.
um, what can they do in their headshots to make
Mhm.
them more clickable
Right.
during
I
the
see what you're
casting
saying.
process? I
Mhm.
guess is it, and how zoomed in should they be on their face? Is
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? Like the technical
Yeah,
to
yeah.
make their headshots pop, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't notice significant problems with what I'm seeing already, you
Okay.
know.
Hmm.
What we normally get is, like you said, it's a bit of a thumbnail, it could be smaller or it could be bigger.
Right.
We tend to even prefer the smaller ones
Hmm.
sometimes
Hmm.
because
Yep.
thumbnails because we can review faster,
Yeah.
and see kind of the bigger picture. But those are clickable, right? All of
Hmm.
those thumbnails are clickable in that we can look at your
Hmm.
CV, we can look at video that's associated with you, we can look at your stats, like how
Hmm.
tall are they, how that, what color eyes, da 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 da.
Yeah.
What are your skills? What are your, so like
Yeah.
all those services have all those clickable
Hmm.
um, uh, additional information. And
Yep.
usually the image is a trigger,
Hmm.
right? But it's kind of like we perceive everything very quickly
Hmm.
together. So
Right.
we see the name, we
Yep.
see the image,
Yep.
and then if we feel like if we know the person,
Hmm.
obviously we immediately, because we know the image and we know the name,
Exactly. Yeah.
we'll select or not.
Hmm.
If we don't know the person,
Hmm.
and we'll look at the image and we'll consider who is the agent, and we'll consider, like, so we're still
Okay.
kind of looking at all the elements,
Okay.
but we might go, okay, does this person appear to be the type that could be this character? So
Right.
again, that's not something, you don't want to change your picture per character. So
Hmm.
then my answer in that case would be to select a photo that we can imagine different characters on.
Mm.
Like, don't send us in one extreme direction,
Right.
and the character could be somebody, like, you want something that we can imagine, oh, if they dressed up like this, they would
Mm.
look, or if they did their hair a little differently, they could
Right.
look like that.
Right. Right.
But if you're in a tuxedo, we can't imagine you as a homeless guy, kind of
Right.
thing. Like,
Right.
it's less easy to do so. We
Of
can,
course. Yeah.
oh, he's an actor, sure, but
Yeah.
it's more, and or if you have a selection of headshots,
Hmm.
then you do maybe, but will your agent know to submit this one instead of that one and
Hmm.
prioritize it, or
Hmm.
will they,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's really, and I think as long as I do prefer somewhat of a, head and shoulders shot, or head shot, be not full body on the thumbnails,
Of
because,
course. Yeah.
but
You
if
can't see
we
the face.
can't,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, we want to see the face, just like we want to see your face and your eyes during the audition.
Hmm.
That's why framing it a little bit, medium close up is nice, or a close up is nice on an audition,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
if I can't see your eyes, if I can't see your face, I'm like, I'm not connecting. I'm
Yeah.
not I'm not connecting to you. So I
Yeah.
want to connect. I want to see what you're doing. And that's again why you're not looking off in profile,
Hmm.
We need to connect somehow. What's left of our ability to connect? you know.
So well said. So well said. We want to connect, and what's better than the eyes to do that? So,
Exactly, for sure.
yeah, we want to make sure that our eyes are present at all times in the headshot, in the audition. If you're entering frame, don't take too long to enter. Like it's just, all that stuff. They want to see you. Great,
You
great.
heard it all.
Honestly, literally, literally. It's such an honor to have you, Andrea. Thank you so much
Sweet.
for
Thank you.
gracing us with your presence, for making the time. It's
My
appreciated.
pleasure.
Honestly, I don't take it lightly. I'm sure a lot of people are just like be benefiting from watching this episode. It's definitely very insightful. I myself learned a lot just talking to you.
Thank you.
So honestly, I'm very blessed. So thank you so much.
Very
But
sweet.
yeah, that concludes our episode for today. Thank you, Andrea. Thank
Thank
you
you.
everybody for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. So make sure to subscribe and all that. But we'll see you guys in the next one.